Ask any long-term fan of collectible toy product what their absolute dream is, and most will tell you at or near the top of the list is to see their childhood creations come to life and to make their own toy line. Well, we live in the era of the action figure Kickstarter where such things are now entirely possible. Hi again, everyone. My name's Ken. This is a Toy Kennections Online, or TKO, live stream broadcasting to you on this fine Sunday, whatever part of the globe you happen to be from. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, with the action figure Kickstarter, the excitement for Operation Recall has reached something of a fever pitch. Today is the last day of the Kickstarter. The campaign is already largely successful, and the question is just how high can we climb as far as the stretch goals are concerned. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with Operation Recall, basically it is the brainchild of Carson Mataxis from 3DJoes.com, and he's managed to assemble a lot of the old veteran and legendary toy creators out there, names such as Ron Rudat, Kirk Bazigian, Larry Hama, Mark Pennington, Ed Morrill, Bill Merkline, Doug Hart, you name it, he got the dream team together. Now, before we bring Carson on, I'd like to drop in a few of my friends here, beginning with one of my good buddies, one of my favorite customizers, Dreadnok Ryan. Welcome again to TKO. How are you, my friend?
I am good, Ken. Excited to talk Operation Recall.
That's right. That's right. And we've also got, he's always taunting me with his avatar, with his Ace Hunter avatar, because he's always telling me I got to watch this Mega Force movie, and I still haven't. But Gazz, welcome once again, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. No problem. Say what?
I said, thanks for having me.
No problem. All right. So, and it's early in the morning, and he should be in bed, but Xazyl, welcome once again from Australia and Sergeant Slaughterhouse. How are you?
10 hut. That's about as loud as I can get at 2 a.m. in the morning. I feel like
it's all good.
Catches me either really early in the morning or really late at night. But I did see Dave E on the chat, and yes, he's one of the people who came up with a character for this. So it's awesome that he's here.
So happy to
see him. We had him on the Slaughterhouse channel. Awesome guy.
Absolutely. Right. And speaking of awesomeness, I am going to bring on the curator of Operation Recall and the site webmaster of 3DJoes.com, who also happens to be the book author for the omnibus Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe. Carson, are you excited or what?
Yo, Joes.
Yo, Joe.
I've said this a million times. The whole thing is surreal. I cannot believe that my 10 years of archiving has led to this point. This is crazy. It's absolutely amazing. The community that is forming around this idea, it's all been phenomenal, man. I'm talking with Ron and Mark on a regular basis, looking at drawings for the new characters. I'm living the dream right now, man. It's amazing.
Well, you said the magic word. Well, there was one magic word in Mark, but the other magic word you said was Ron.
Yo, Ron. There he is. The man.
Christmas came early this year. I did not know Ron was going to be on the stream, and Carson was like, gentlemen, I got a little surprise for you. And Ron Rudat popped backstage with the Cobra logo immortalized as ever. How are you, Mr. Rudat?
I'm doing fine. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm just going to boost your volume a tiny bit here because I can't quite hear you super well, but I will take care of that.
When Ron came on, it's
all of Carson's figures right now.
Ron is hard at work. He's been sending me artwork along the way. And for those of you that are following Operation Recall on YouTube, just go to the 3DJoes YouTube channel, and then there is a playlist called Operation Recall. So like and subscribe to the 3DJoes YouTube so you don't miss those videos. But every time Ron sends me drawings, I just go in and like zoom in on them on my phone and like move around on them and inspect them. And I just record that and throw it up quickly on YouTube. Just something to share with the fans as they progress.
And we all certainly appreciate that, Carson. So yeah, so I'm just going to say a quick hello to the chat, which has managed to jump and skip on me. A couple of the guys in there are actually already here in this particular stream, but we got Anonymous Dude, 1, 2, 3. We've got Daniel McGovern, who's predicting 330 grand by the end of the stream, which would get us the Bengal figure. Hopefully we keep climbing even after that. We got Rolando Flores. We've got the creator of the luchador figure there, Dave E. Hello, good to see you. We've got Largo, Jim Largo. Good to see you. And who else here? We've got Grindhead Jim. Good to see you again, my friend. And Articulated Chad, thank you for the super chat. He says, Yo, Joe, gentlemen, Carson, congrats, my friend. And welcome
Chad.
to the stream as well, Articulated Chad. And Hans Chow is pleasantly surprised to see. Oh, chat jumped on me. Hans Chow is pleasantly surprised, like we all are, to see the legend Ron in here. And we've got Mark Van Leeuwen, Action J, and ooh, wow, a lot of new names in this chat.
Nice.
Yeah, James Ratface, aka 4044, and I believe that's gets me to the end of the chat. But it is pretty busy this morning. Well, I had a bit of an agenda to talk about, but at the same time, I'm also excited to hear everyone else's thoughts on this particular thing. So, Carson, I'm going to eventually just ask you to share screens and let us know where your thought process is headed. But you're getting a lot of questions about Operation Recall. And is there a particular thing you want to address FAQ-wise to kind of start things off, just so people don't ask the same questions over and over again right through the backer kit phase of all this?
Sure. And this is something that I've been addressing through the updates and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to keep everybody abreast of this. But long story short, this is the beginning. This is the precipice of an O-ring resurgence, right? We've got Operation Recall. We've got Call Sign Longbow. We've got the retro Robo Skull figures. We've got Strike Force Alpha. There's a lot of fans. The fans have demanded it, basically. And, Hasbro's making better money on 6-inch. I think we can all assume that as truth. Companies tend to invest their time where they're being successful, and so you can't blame them for that, right? But there's still a lot of us that want brand new, all new O-ring ideas, and we want them from, my take on it was, that's cool that all these other people are making these O-rings lines, that's awesome, but I want the original creators to get back in the game and make all new figures, and by God, they all said yes. So, Ron, how does it feel now? Now you've been back in the game for 5 or 6 weeks where you're kind of constantly sending me stuff. Are you enjoying yourself? Is it a lot of stress? Are you feeling good? What's the emotional spectrum over there right now?
Well, I don't know what to tell you. It is a little stressful for me because I haven't done this in so long. Just creating figures. I'm doing a lot of research on the internet to find certain things that I need for the figures. Some of it's my imagination. Then I'm using equipment that I see or on the internet to add to a figure. I did similar thing when I was working online, but it's a little bit more difficult for me. I don't do comic books. I never did comic books. Comic book artists, their creativity is beyond me. So
I don't think that's accurate. I understand that you feel that way, but I don't.
Yeah,
think
I gotta disagree. Yeah.
When you look at the 1982 to 1987 output that you created, that you solely created, it's mind-blowingly amazing, the variety of characters. And to know that for every one of those characters,
I kind of have to put my head in a different place,
Mm-hmm.
It can be a little stressful at some time.
Of course.
I'm trying my best.
Well, you're doing great. I've seen all the progress, everything that you're putting out. I try to, when the community sends me feedback for what Ron and Mark are working on, I try to take screen captures of them and send them along to Ron and Mark. And I'll tell you, bar none, every single artist has kind of an imposter syndrome. Like I suffer from this. I do video and animation for a living, and every project when I'm getting ready to start it, that dread that it's not going to be good enough, you're not going to nail it. This is going to be the project that reveals that you're really not that great after all. Like I have that emotional roller coaster with every creative project, and I know Ron does, and I know Mark does, and I know Larry does. I've been talking with Larry Hama this week regarding the dossiers as well. Every single creative, no matter how accomplished they are, no matter if they're in the Toy Hall of Fame like Ron, or if they're an Eisner Award Hall of Fame writer like Larry, everybody has that And I think that's what makes the great creatives really great. That's what pushes them to be even better, because they never want to let anybody down. They always want their work to be good enough. And no matter what a level of success they've achieved, they're going to have those emotions. So, Ron, I don't know if we've had that one-on-one talk, but hey, man, I'm having it with you right now. The work you're doing is amazing. The bear claw drawings that you submitted with the bear hat on top of them with the bear skin and tied around and everything, the creator of that literally said you made his year. Like, he couldn't believe how you evolved the concept. He loved everything you did with it, from the handcrafting.
My first thought on doing bear claw figures, I'm thinking Mountain Man.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He's a naturalist. He would give Outback a run for his money, I think.
And so I looked on the internet and I was looking at Mountain Men, how they dressed and everything else. And this guy, Bear Claw, makes his own clothes out of the animals that he harvested, I guess. And he makes his own clothes. He forges his own weaponry, and his knives and hatchet, things like that. And then you start adding modern elements to it,
right?
To make him more I don't know, soldier-like, I guess.
I really like that you, even though he's got handmade weapons and natural animal clothing and that type of thing, he's still got his high-tech communicator, so he can get in touch with the Operation Recall team. I could see them like Commando, where Commando was living out in the woods and the helicopter swoops in and they pick him up because it's time to get back to duty. Yeah. Like they always know where he is and they can find him and they can get in touch with him. But other than that, like when he's not active duty, you let Bear Claw just go be that weird mountain guy.
Yeah. So that's why I'm kind of thinking. I'm looking at the figure and, well, like I'm working on a figure now and I'm trying to put this person in a military uniform, but still I want to give that person a little bit more futuristic look to it. And it can be a little hard sometimes.
You can reveal who are you working on Alpha Dog right now?
No, I'm working on Lilith.
Oh, Lilith, even better. Okay, so for those that don't know this, Ron loves the ladies, and he's married, so I'm sorry to disappoint the ladies out there that love Ron. But Ron loves specifically designing ladies. And, he did Scarlet for 82. He did CoverGirl for 83. He did Baroness for 84. He did Lady J for 85. He did Zorana for 86, and he did Jinx for 87. And when Ron got off the line, the ladies got off the line, right? We didn't get another woman until 1993 with Scarlet version 2.
Scarlet version 2, yeah.
That was not a great figure because of the action feature. So anyway, Ron Rudat was a big proponent of female figures, despite the fact that the bean counters would tell you they don't sell well. Well, I'm here to tell everybody out there,
it's not just female figures. I think the Joe group or unit is an amalgamation of international people. They could be Spanish or Chinese or African or it's Joe team is a combination of all those people, and that's how I feel about it.
And it's reflected in the figures that we selected as a group. Me, you, Mark, and Kirk all got together, and we had a focus on that. I don't know if you I sent you a text message either late last night or early this morning. We just unlocked Runback, who is a Japanese American. She's the supply quartermaster type with the Robo Dog, and so that's going to be Mark Pennington. And then the very next one that's up for you, Ron, is Bengal. She's the Indian intelligence sniper. Lady. So we're working towards Bengal. I feel like we're going to get her today. We're at 317. She unlocks at 330, and so we're getting a lot of females into this line now. And not only are they female, that's great, but they're also from different diverse backgrounds, right? Be it Indian, be it Japanese, whatever. We've got the Puerto Rican, Mexican wrestler, luchador. We've got a lot. We've got the jungle troopers are Africans with scarification, which is a very cool kind of African tradition that started to seep its way into American culture now with the tattoo parlors doing it. We've got a lot of cool kind of diverse ideas in this line. It's one of the things that makes me really happy about it. So there's going to be something for everyone. And it should be fun. Like some people some of these ideas are corny. I'm like, did you see Raptor or Dr. Mindbender? Like, come on. The toy line is supposed to be fun, and we want our stuff to have some fun in it. there's going to be some straight military guys, like the female that Ron's working on, Lilith. She's an airborne paratrooper badass. I can say that online. I'm sorry if you guys have to beep it. But, you know, she's got a bad attitude and a scar on her face, and she just, you know, kicks down doors and takes names.
Yeah.
So, Ron, who are you most excited to work on?
Right now?
Yeah. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm having a bit of a hard time hearing some of you guys. Is it just me, or are we okay volume wise?
No, I got my volume all the way up.
Yeah, I can hear Ron. There's I don't hear Dreadnok Ryan. He's muted.
Sorry, I'm muted. You're good. Everything's good.
Okay, no, I'll just tweak the settings on my end. Sorry about that. Go ahead, gentlemen.
You got headphones on.
Yeah.
So I will circle back. I will circle back to your question. What is the number one thing that I would like for everybody to know regarding Operation Recall? This is the beginning. That's the number one thing to know. The Kickstarter is only the beginning. We have funded 12 figures already. It looks like we might hit 13 today. But of the 19 that we set out to design, so there was the 16 waves 1 through waves 4, and Ritello was the starting bonus. A Midnight Ops Ritello is the middle of the campaign bonus. And General Mortefero is our final bonus. Shout out to David E., who was the concept designer on that one.
It's in the chat, yep.
We're going to do 19 figures for year one. Everybody's asking, okay, so what happens if we don't unlock all 19 at the end of today? Obviously, we're not going to unlock all 19 at the end of today. What we're going to do is immediately move to backer kit, which is it's a way to stretch the stretch goals. It's a way to stretch the campaign for an undetermined duration of time. And so basically we have up to 9 months to continue funding the last 7 figures. There's no doubt in my mind that overnight, look what we've done in 5 weeks, right? So Operation Recall, the Kickstarter, is just the beginning. The backer kit will carry on the crowdfunding, and we will follow the same exact goals that we had in Kickstarter. Every $30,000, we will unlock manufacturing for another.
Awesome. Can't wait for that.
That's the number one thing I want people to know, because they're like, well, I want to go all in, but what if we only have 12 figures? And it's like, okay, number one, you're guaranteed to get 19 figures.
Okay, I was going to ask that because I wasn't sure if it was going to be 18 or 19, but I think when you set up the thing, it says 18. I don't think you're allowed to change what it says on Kickstarter. Then you read the text on the side and it says 19. So
that's correct.
That's a great.
Once you set up the pledge tier description and someone's pledged on it, you can't change that description, and that makes sense. You don't want to do a bait and switch on anybody, right? But when we started, we were just doing the 18 figures, and I decided that we needed a mid-campaign bonus figure to kind of get everybody excited and give the all-in backers that extra bit of value, an extra free figure for being all in. So Ritello is only free for people that are all in, right? Everybody else can add them on as an add-on figure. So we're going to do the 19 figures. We're going to continue fundraising through Backer Kit, and I'm sure we'll get there. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm starting to think about what's up for year 2, honestly.
Yep, same here. So I'm going to get to a few super chats here just to catch up a little bit here. But Jim Largo, thank you for the super chat. Says here, great bunch of folks in the stream today. Excited to hear about the new figure designs from Operation Recall. And you just heard Carson say that among those new figure designs, we're looking at a full wave of 19. So definitely excited for that. And speaking of designs, Dave E., our man over here, thank you for the super chat as well. And he says, thank you, Mr. Rudat, for incorporating the Taino Sun in my concept. All my friends and family back home are excited. And we're all excited for you as well, Dave E. We had a great chat with him on Welcome to the Slaughterhouse. It's been positively emotional for all of us. So, and glad to hear that.
Dave E. came up with the big bad, right? The big baddie?
Yes, he did. He did. So not only did David come up with the concept for the Luchador soldier, he came up with the concept for the enemy commander. So shout out to David, huge contributor to the line. Ron, how does it feel to get that immediate feedback for the stuff that you're working on? That was the guy that designed the Luchador.
Yeah. I'm not. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I had to look up the Tano people and see what they look like and see what their culture was and everything else like that. And I noticed they did have tattoos and things like that. And the Tano Sun that I have on the uniform, I think is a great way to acknowledge these people. And I love Puerto Rico. I've been there a couple of times, and it was exciting to do, And the Luchador headpiece, the leather mask. It was fun to do. I came up with several designs for it, but I think the creator of it did a really good job. There wasn't really much to do or change on his design. I did a little bit, but I think it came out pretty good.
Yes, that's a little different than in the past when you were starting with a completely blank slate, green field. Some of these designs are pretty well fleshed out, and I'll tell the community to make sure we're abundantly clear. Ron Rudat and Mark Pennington are not railroaded into using any of those designs exactly as they are. They have full editorial authority to, dream and imagine and come up with different takes on it. And so I don't want anybody to think like we're, we brought in Mark Pennington and Ron Rudat just to do everybody else's ideas. Everybody else's ideas were just a starting point. Like if you looked at Ritello, where he started, right? And then looked at where he ended up, he's quite a bit different from where he started in terms of accessories and figure sculpt and everything. So we brought in the masters to do what they do best, and that means these ideas are going to evolve quite a bit. What Ron did with the Luchador soldier, he gave me several different versions of the figure itself, and then he gave me several different ideas for the accessories. And so Kirk Bazigian and I will sit down and review those and mark things up like they did back in the old day and kind of pick which things kind of gravitate to round two. And then Ron will finalize that design, do color studies, do presentation art, do turnaround drawings for Bill Merkline, to do the sculpting. And we're going to go through the whole process. So part of signing up for Operation Recall is getting to watch that process as it unfolds. So I hope you guys all enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're sitting at Dreadnok Ryan. Just giving us an update here. We're up over 318,000 right now. So the hope to unlock Bengal by the end of this stream is still very much alive. And Bengal has, this must have been intentional, the Tiger Force stripes there. So like, even if I wanted to ask the question about the canon story behind this, but even in our head canon, we're doing things like we're throwing Night Off Tritello onto Night Force. We're throwing Bengal onto Tiger Force. But will we have our own canon here in
Absolutely.
In
Absolutely. So like I mentioned, Larry Hama is working on the dossiers right now. And
yes,
so we will have file cards for every one of these 19 figures. Ritellos will only be slightly tweaked for Midnight Ops. But we're going to have unique personalities, characteristics, names, backgrounds, weapon preferences, expertise, all that good stuff for every character. And my good friend Joe Goldston and I have been kicking a script back and forth that basically is like the Teen Titans #1 of Operation Recall, where it tells how, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but basically suffice it to say there's an international fighting force that is the cream of the crop. They're amazing, and they've been around for years, and they're well established. And then overnight, something happens, right? I'm not going to tell you the trauma of it all, but suffice it to say, Operation Recall doesn't just mean bringing back Mark and Ron and Kirk and Doug and Ed and all those guys. It means bringing back these characters into one cohesive fighting unit so they can address this new threat that has basically materialized overnight. So we've got a great story ready to go. I think the big question there is going to be, what medium do we roll that out in? Is it going to be a comic book that's 24 pages fully illustrated, or is it going to be maybe like an audiobook podcast kind of thing where we cast actors and act the thing out and add sound effects and stuff, and then give you keyframe art for the different scenes so you can picture a moment in time, but then your mind fills in the rest? I think with that kind of deployment, we would also roll out the dossiers and the card art, so what each character in each scene looked like. So we have a couple different ideas for how we're going to build the IP and tell the story, but we absolutely should say we have a story and we look forward to telling it.
Yeah. So are we going to get a few like homages and like hints back at the old 82 to 94 era? Like I know Bobby Valla did that with his file card on Sergeant Slaughter. There was a tiny bit of a hint back there.
No, I don't.
Completely standalone.
No, we're building
This is
our own
all
universe.
new, baby.
Yeah. What'd you say, Xazyl?
So this is all new.
All
Right.
right.
Stuff.
Yeah, this is a new universe. I don't want to piggyback on anybody else's great work. This is Mark and Ron and Larry and Ed and Doug and Bill's chance to build a new universe, build new characters, and they're characters that the creative team actually owns. So one of the things that I thought was a really cool piece of this idea is we're all going to share profit royalties. We've already talked about it. We've already agreed to it. So the better this line does, the more we all make off of it, right? And so we're not going to kind of parrot what we've done in the past. We want to build something new and build something amazing. And who knows where it could go? You know, maybe we end up with a cartoon series or a movie down the road. Bobby Vala, you mentioned Valaverse. They're working on a movie right now. So,
That's right.
You know, and they're only a couple years into their toy line, right? And Operation Recall, if you look at the diversity of ideas of the characters that we have, this would be an amazing cartoon. It really would. But I don't know. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. First, let's focus on making some awesome toys. And but we do need to get the story out there. And so that will either be in comic book form or audiobook form as of right now.
All right. Well, so what are we looking at for delivery? Because your last update via email said that you were still going to do some IP development and that you weren't going to hit the factory floor for at least 9 months.
Right. So my thinking on that is, in what I've announced as of like maybe 4 or 5 updates ago, was I'm going to go ahead and fund the intellectual property development of all 16 Wave 1 through Wave 4 characters. So when I mailed out those packets to Ron and to Mark and Ron and Kirk and Larry, they all got packets. Every one of those characters had their compensation in the envelope, right? So it was basically, this is me showing I'm fully committed to see all these characters through, at least through, you know, the design, illustration, conceptualization, presentation art, package art, dossier. Like that's what I call the IP development. This is where we're coming up with those characters. The stuff that happens after that in my mind is kind of more the engineering of it. So it's 3D design and printing of the accessories. It's sculpting of the figures. It's making paint masters. It's going to the factory and pouring, cutting molds and pouring plastic. That fundraising still needs to happen via Kickstarter right now and then backer kit next week. But I have no doubt that we will get there. We'll unlock all of them. And I've put my money where my mouth is. I've bet on success for Operation Recall. That's the plan.
Well, you've got the right team for the success right here. We got the man who created the Cobra logo and a bunch of a whole ton of the original characters. So we're all pulling for you. We're all cheering for the overall success of this. So we had a question in the chat about whether or not that we were going to get stands with names on the figures.
I'm going to need to talk with the factory and figure out how that affects pricing and if we can include that in the package. Obviously, I definitely plan on including a stand. Whether or not they're all individually named, I don't know. I think that means you would have to cut a unique mold for every one of those stands if it's a 3-dimensional name with extruded letters, right? Mm-hmm. Which I think is what the intent was for that question. I don't think you guys want a little sticker on there that says General Mortafaro, right? Like I think they're thinking extruded text. So to me,
would be fine. I'm not fussy.
Okay. So I definitely want to do stands. What I was thinking was the faction logos for them. So if it's the good guys that have the Operation Recall logo, maybe a simplified version of it. If you look at the Operation Recall logo, it's got the little colon and the stripes that go after it, which if you just grab that one element, that kind of looks like a flag. I was thinking that could be an iconic representation of the Operation Recall good guys team for year one. For the bad guys team, we've definitely gone down this kind of dead man skull kind of direction. And so the logo that came with Cadavers, I think might not be the final logo, but I think it's definitely close. And that would be the enemy faction logo. But that's not to say we're only going to have one enemy faction. I don't think this is going to be like G.I. Joe versus Cobra, where it's the good guys versus the bad guys, and it's the same thing every time. I do think we will have different enemy factions. Now, maybe year 2 might introduce an entirely different enemy faction, right?
That's exciting.
So I think each of those figure stands will have the corresponding logo faction to the group that they belong to. That's what I would say. Will they be individually named? Maybe not. We'll see.
So if we're looking at hitting the factory floor in about 9 months' time, you're going to have to cut molds, and then you're going to have to do the painting and the tempos and the figures. Are we looking at an early 2024 kind of like drop date for this, hopefully before Chinese New Year kind of deal? Or
So as a producer, as a project producer with a lot of people working on this project, it's going to make more sense to think about it like a Gantt chart, right? Where you have figure one, and we're doing IP development, and then we're doing sculpting and accessories, and then we're doing cutting molds and sending FEPs and all that kind of stuff, and then we're pouring plastic and sending the final thing. So as we finish IP design for this one, we're going to move on to the wave 2 IP design for this one, and then we're going to move on to wave 3. But as he's working on waves 2 and 3, we can go ahead and be doing the figure sculpts and the accessory sculpts, and start once we've got that nailed down, then we can do cutting molds and starting to do FEPs and stuff. So it's not all going to happen. Like, I don't want Ron and Mark sitting idle for 6 months while they wait on year 2's ideas to work on, right? So if I think through how can I best spread out the workload for everybody involved, it makes sense to Gantt chart it out and do them sequentially. So that's the plan. That means we'll be dealing with the factory a lot earlier than 9 months. The 9 month cutoff would be, that's when we have to make the decision on the final remaining figures that have yet to be unlocked. But I'm confident those figures will be unlocked by then. So
just through the backer kit. No, that's amazing. That's amazing to know. So yeah, are there, other than the main question there, were there any other FAQ questions you're getting over and over again that you kind of want to make sure gets answered here or elsewhere?
I think a lot of people wanted to maybe buy one figure for $30, and then that gets them in the door on the backer kit. So I will say that's not a concern. You will be able, even as a person that doesn't back the Kickstarter today, you will be able to get in on the backer kit as of a week from now, right? So I don't want anybody to feel like they're going to be excluded. It's not our goal to exclude anybody from Operation Recall. Now, the flip side of that is we do want to reward the people that jumped in on the Kickstarter and helped us with all these figures with better pricing. So what I'm working on right now is pricing. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. But what I basically want to do is lock in the pricing for the Kickstarter for all of your figure add-ons, right? So if you do the double all-in, you're actually getting figures for cheaper than $20 a piece. I think it's $19 and some change. 1 second.
You can't even get an action figure today for that price.
It's a pretty darn good deal, Xazyl.
I agree, man. I agree
100%, man. I think the pricing for the double all-in is pretty ridiculous. I think it's really great. You're not getting O-ring figures from Hasbro for $20.
No.
And that's not to talk junk. That's the reality of it. If you're going in double all-in, you're coming in under $20 a piece. And so your add-ons through backer kit, I'm working to make sure that the backer kit will continue that pricing for you through your add-ons. So if you decide that you want to add 10 more Los Castigadores, right, then you'll get them at that $19.70 price. Now, if you're on the Kickstarter, if you're on the Kickstarter and you buy one figure for $30, and then you want to go add on one more figure, you're going to get it for $30, right? If you're doing the all in, I believe it's closer to $21. So I should have had that.
So if I do the all in and I get 19 figures, I get to pick them during the backer kit. And then if I want doubles of one or another one unlocks, I can be like, okay, I don't want doubles. I want the one that unlocked. I could do that during the backer kits when I'm here. Yeah. And speaking of the pricing, Ron, I got to ask, what's it like seeing figures at $3 or whatever, $2.99 back in the day, and now we're seeing Hasbro retailing them at $20? What's it like?
It's ridiculous, to tell you the truth. I think they're gouging it. They're going a little too far with their pricing. $35 for a 6-inch figure. It's crazy.
Yeah, inflation hasn't helped us whatsoever here. Question from the chat here.
I'm picking some of them myself, and I won't buy them if they're going to be outrageously priced. So,
understood.
I think I kind of was buying the it's COVID, it's inflation stuff until we saw Kamakura, and he was called a deluxe figure for $35. I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't feel very deluxe, and $35 feels a little high for him. So
when they come out with like maybe 2 or 3 figures at one time, who can afford to buy that many figures? At that price, it's crazy.
It was interesting because on the same day that they rolled out Kamakura for $35, they rolled out the 2 Blue Ninjas, and they were much more reasonably priced in my mind. What was the price point on that? Do you guys remember?
45 for the 2.
Yeah. So 45 for the 2, I'm like, okay, there's a little inflation, I get it. But like Kamakura at 35, I'm like, no, that's low.
He's a cool character as far as like the Devil's Due publishing run is concerned, but like they didn't do anything to kind of introduce him in. They sort of just coldly brought him back. I bought one because I like Kamakura, but
well, let's be honest, they're reusing the Storm Shadow mold, so they need to come up with another figure to do that, but they're trying to create another price point, which didn't go.
I wonder how many figures they produce on just one figure.
On one mold?
Yeah. Manufacturing. I wonder how many they produce.
So I have a question about Recall.
Yes.
Actually, two questions. One
go ahead.
regarding the figures now. Foot pegs, would they be adaptable to like vintage Joe stuff?
We absolutely want our foot pegs to be 100% compatible with all of the vintage stuff that you all already have in your collections. I saw the G.I. Joe Bird video about the Megatron, his tank, and was like, what? Like, why? That makes no sense. I literally, has anybody compared that new tank and the foot pegs that are too big for vintage to the new O-ring figures like the Officer and Cobra 2-pack and the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow 2-pack?
I believe they fit because they have like a hexagon design on their foot, which is a lot bigger than the vintage ones.
The new O-rings have a hexagon hole in the bottom.
It's like a hexagon type of it's not circular.
I literally have them up there. They're sitting on the shelf. They're Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Yeah. I'm more of a worker than a consumer at this point. I'm more of a maker than I keep buying everything, but I just barely have time to open it. And I'm making music videos for you guys and Kickstarters and constant updates and
So my second question is to RON RUDAT. Is this inspiring you to like maybe create like a new character of your own for like Wave 2 or Year 2 at all?
Not really. I mean, I did create a military line years ago, but I never pursued it. I asked Kurt Bazigian about it. He didn't think it was a good idea, so I just dropped it.
Would you be thinking about maybe adding those characters to this? Some of them? No?
No. It's an international force, just similar to what I want to do here with Operation Recall. Except my figures are not realistic looking. They were a little bit more, say, on the cartoonish side. They were military, and they covered our military as it is today, and what they go through today. It has nothing to do with the future or anything like that.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, as an Australian action figure collector, I can say that I'm super pumped that this is an international force. The whole thing is just, it really helps us.
It was based on the slang that military people use, and I was going to call it hoo-ah, because the Army says hoo-ah, and the Marines, I forgot what they say, but it was going to be based on the slang that military uses, things that we don't understand, but they do.
I will say this, when we fired up Operation Recall, when I first came to Ron with the idea of, I was coming around to interview all of them for the Kickstarter, for the book right here. This is the omnibus hardcover of Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe. I knew I was going to come around and interview all these guys again for the books, and I was going to bring my video cameras this time because that's what I do for a living. And I decided doing an experiential thing where we walked along or sat with them while they did their thing would be very exciting. And so I pitched to them, do you want to do one more character from scratch? They all said yes, which is amazing, and that's kind of like the seed of where this big idea has come from. And that started back in the spring of 2020. Crazy COVID set a season. We ended up pushing back filming for like 9 months. Ron Rudat's son Tristan did some filming for me. I mailed him my gear, and so Ron could go ahead and get to work on it. And that was the birth of this idea. But all the way back then, I was like, Ron, you do not need to do Ritello. If you don't want to do Ritello, if you want to create another character that you just wanted to do from back in the day, you're totally welcome to do that. And Ron didn't tell me his decision right away. I didn't know if he was going to do Ritello or not. And then he came to me with the initial drawings, which was 2 different versions of Ritello and like 5 different backpacks and like 12 different birds. And that's when I had that moment of, oh my God, my childhood dream is going to come to life. You know,
childhood dream. And made by your child, by the guy who made your childhood dreams come true in Ron Rudat. How surreal is that? And another person who's going to have the similar experience as Dave E. Again, thank you for the super chat, and says he would love to see those designs from Mr. Rudat. So,
yep.
Take note of
you
that.
Know, Carson, as the O-ring line, I think I've figured out why we've fallen in love so much with them as adults. And when we had talked before, you talked about how, you know, Ron is drawing these, and then it's being sculpted, and nothing is perfect. Today's figures are created, you know, 3D modeling computers, so there's no life to them. These original Joes, 82 through 94, were being created by gentlemen like Ron, and they had bits and pieces of them brought to those figures, so they felt alive almost to us as kids. That's what I'm feeling with this Operation Recall. Is it feels like they are alive again.
I think that will bear out in the work, right? What'd you say, Ron?
I say you like the Civil War buckles and the kepi and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
love it, man, love it. That's the kind of creativity that made it memorable, in my opinion.
Well, that's because I was a reenactor at the time,
right?
A Civil War reenactor.
Yep.
So I added some of my reenacting stuff into the figures.
Right. So what I've got here is the original sculpt by Bill Merkline for Ritello, and there are absolutely flaws in this sculpt, but that's the humanity of it. All of those grenades are different sizes. The little bands on the grenades are different. It's not 3 perfect digital cylinders that they made one and then they copied it and pasted it, right? The humanity of a handmade sculpt is apparent. Ryan, I agree 100% with what you're saying. Look at the little pockets right there. They're not the same. They're literally not the same. If you would have made that in a digital sculpt, you would have done one pocket, you would have copied it from the left cheek and pasted it on the right cheek and called it a day, and it would have been perfect, but it wouldn't have had that human artisan craftsmanship to it. Look at this little flare gun right here. So he made this with a couple different types of plumber seal epoxy, and that's why it's got the color variation there. But to me, that's one of the best pieces of the sculpt. And making sure that it's sculpted in such a way that the mold can be released, right? So that this line down the middle is where the mold is going to pull off of that. So you can't have it anywhere where plastic will seep in behind the gun. And so that's why you get those shapes that look like they're extruded off of the pieces. I thought that flare gun was absolutely brilliant. And that comes from a sculptor that understands molds and how they release the plastics. You know, I think if you did that in 3D, somebody would have downloaded a 3D file of a real world flare gun, and it wouldn't have that illustrative kind of simplified iconography look to the flare gun that we ended up with. There's so much artistic interpretation that goes into every step of this along the way. If it's Ron adding Civil War belt buckles because he's into reenacting, or if it's Bill Merkline adding something, you know, every artist adds something along the way. In the sum is
those happy accidents as well that you might not get otherwise.
Absolutely. You know, the sum is greater than the sum of its parts, right? The final product is greater than the sum of the parts.
And I think, what do you call it? I think I might have said this last time, but it's a bit surreal seeing the 2-up, like the double-sized prototypes, because a lot of people don't know this, but the prototypes back in the day were done. Like, look how big that is compared to Carson's one. Oops.
He's all right.
Yeah.
I will show you this is the Paint Master. And so this is a 2-up Paint Master painted by the brilliant Matthew LaCroix, Strike Force proprietor.
Yep.
So if you like his work, he does amazing custom figures, and he's also developing his own line called Strike Force Alpha.
Of course, yeah.
So,
that's right.
Paint houses were done this way, and I think I did probably every paint master for Joe myself back then. 120 figures. I did them all.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, just to think about the amount of work that would
a lot of work.
Just in all of his free time when he wasn't designing Cobra logos and 20 figures a year and 10 for every one figure that he put out, he did 10 different versions of that figure. It's mind-boggling to me, the creative productivity of Ron Rudat.
Mind-boggling to me because besides designing the figure, I had to do costing drawings. I had to do sculptor input. I did all the patches on the uniforms. I did the logos on vehicles. I did paint masters. Every phase of it, I worked on.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I can't believe it sometimes myself.
This is why Ron wasn't one of those that got up and walked around and talked with everybody. He was nose down doing work every day.
I stayed in my office all the time, always drawing, always busy working on something, while other people went around socializing and things like that. Actually, those are the people they kept, and they got rid of us. So.
Well, we sincerely appreciate all your hard work, Ron.
Absolutely.
We as fans have kept you in our hearts, Ron. So it's you got the big victory at the end. You got the longevity with us. Let's put it that way. So yeah, question in the chat with regards to the way that the figures are going to be made. Will they be given to a child to run it through to see if they're durable, or will they just be like the previous G.I. Joe predecessors in terms of how durable they are?
I will say this. I've got nieces and nephews, and I've done an anecdotal focus group test with them for years and years. And the O-ring figures in and of themselves are more durable for kids to beat the heck out of. So my nieces and nephews prefer the O-ring figures. The nature of the construction, the rivets, the screws. Yes, I understand that after years, sometimes the O-rings can rot out or whatever. But overall, if you compare it to the modern figures, the 4-inch figures, where hands fall off at the wrist, ankle joints break, elbow joints break. My nieces and nephews destroy modern 4-inch figures at a much more rapid rate than do any kind of real damage to O-ring figures. So yes, the intent is that these will be of the quality of the vintage O-ring figures. They will be every bit as durable as those. There is one additional articulation point at the wrist. We're going to have a swivel wrist on there. So that, anytime you add an articulation point, you add a potential point of failure, but I don't foresee any failure in that, no more than you have swivel joint failures at the swivel elbow, right? How many of you O-ring guys have ever seen an arm break off at the swivel elbow? I've seen it once.
I've never personally seen it. No, I've broken more modern era toys than I ever have a vintage one.
Well, the modern stuff is made out of softer plastic, and it's way more detailed, and the joints are smaller. They use a lot of plugs as opposed to like big swiveling cylinders kind of thing. So, yeah, no, I fully anticipate for these to be as durable or more durable. It's certainly more durable than 4-inch modern.
Yeah, I think the 4-inch modern felt very PVC-ish as opposed to like that harder ABS type of plastic.
Yep.
So, but that's good to know, because I had just sort of assumed that the figures, in order to be kid playable, would need to go through like drop tests and sharpness point tests. But I think that has less to do with the durability. That's more like if you're going to get them in big box retail. I think maybe I might be mixing up two things.
No, you're right. You're right, and the factory's been having that conversation with me. Are these going to be ages 5 and up, or are these going to be 18 and up? Adult collector, I think, is the indicator on the packaging. And we're going to say that they're adult collector because that's going to make them affordable for you guys. Trust me on this. That's what you want. You don't want us to make an ages 4 and up product that we have to put through the kind of testing that you were talking about, Ken, for safety stuff. That's going to increase the red tape and increase the cost.
Fair enough. Yeah. So Carson, I know you've got a hard stop at 1 o'clock Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific, but I just want to kind of open up the floor here. If Dreadnok Ryan, Gazz, or Xazyl have any further questions for either Carson or Ron, and maybe we'll take some final questions from the chat, from the live chat as well.
I just want to say thank you, Carson. You've got me for all in four, and I'm not an O-ring collector anymore. So you've got me. And Mr. Rudat, truly, honestly, the figures that you made helped change my childhood. So thank you for everything that you did. So big salute to you, sir. So thank you again.
Yeah, well, you're very welcome.
Mm-hmm. I think Ryan speaks for all of us. But yes.
Carson and Ron. Carson, I love your passion. It's infectious. It's part of, I think, what's making this such a huge success is that people can see the passion behind this project. And you just so casually name drop all these talented legends. And it must never get like normal for you, right? It must always feel like it's something special.
There's nothing normal about this. I've accepted I'm a crazy guy that just has a lot of energy and is like laser focused and obsessed about things. And what I'm trying to do is channel that for good. You know, I've been working in the video and animation field for the last 20 years, and I've been successful with that. And, you know, I've felt this imbalance in my life where I want to do more of the things that I'm actually passionate about that are going to make such a positive impact on people. I cannot tell you over the last 5 weeks how many people have reached out to say nice things about how this campaign has made them happier, how it's been a joy to watch, how they've loved the interaction, and just all this good stuff. And then to top that off with the 16 concept creators that had their concepts created, I know what they're getting ready to go through because I already went through it with Ritello, and it is freaking incredible. Like, to watch your vision come to life at the hands of these creators it's just a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I'm so excited for those folks to get to watch their concepts kind of run through the paces of this process. I'm excited for me because this gets to be, I'm allowing this to take more and more of my bandwidth. You know what I mean? The video and animation stuff that's much more profitable, I'm allowing myself to dial that back a little bit, pay more freelancers to help me do more of that stuff, and allow myself to really, you know, the grass grows greenest where you water the most. And I've been watering the heck out of this thing. So I think the proof is in the pudding with the way the Kickstarter's going. I was on to something. It was a good idea. I'm not crazy after all. Thank you guys for validating me. More importantly, thank you to my friends, Ron and Mark and Kirk and Ed and Doug and Bill and all of them and Larry for just trusting me to have genuine, like, their best interests at heart. Like, really what I want to happen. Other people were making O-ring toys. These guys, they have the talent, the desire, the passion, the ability. There's no reason that they shouldn't be making new figures for us, and now they are. So I guess the final thank you, I should say thank you to all 926 backers. Every one of you guys, man. Thank you, because you're enabling us to do this.
Absolutely, and you're the right entrepreneur to kind of represent us in the community and be a spokesperson of sorts, Carson. Because even when we watched your Joe Fest panel, that was, you know, like, even the reveals there, bringing up the kids, the creators, remembering them by name, remembering what exactly everyone did, getting all the old creators back together. Dave E again here has very generously sent another super chat. Said, when are we going to drink some Puerto Rican rum in celebration, guys?
So Dave actually, turns out he's right down the road from me in Raleigh. I'm down in Southern Pines, Whispering Pines, so he's only like an hour away. So Dave, I'm taking my dad to Denver next week, and when I get back from that, we should drink some rum. And Ron, whenever you come down to visit your son in Chapel Hill, we'll hook up with David, and he's got the best rum you've ever tasted. Seriously,
we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, I've dropped the links for Dreadnok Ryan's channel and Xazyl's channels in the description below, so that people can access them. And I've dropped the Kickstarter link for Operation Recall in the description below as well for anyone to be able to access. But I know there's going to be a countdown tonight at what is it, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m.
Yeah,
Pacific.
so I'm jumping on with my friend Michael Mercy. So we're going to do it's the final countdown. It's the last hour. So we're jumping on at 8 o'clock. And we'll be going through. Yeah, sing it for me, Xazyl. You can carry us on out with that little track. So anyway, I'll be joining Michael Mercy from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock for the final countdown. And I'm going to try to twist Ron's arm and get back on with me. Hopefully, Mark Pennington's going to join us. I think Kirk is on some kind of vacation. I don't think he's going to be able to join, but hopefully we'll have Mark and Ron here. Well, it should be a lot of fun. I'm hoping for Bengal.
So
I was going to say hoping for Bengal, but there's always a surge at the end. I think we have a chance to get Unknown today.
We'll see, man. I don't want to count my chickens, but that would be amazing. The thing about Unknown that's going to be really cool. So Ron and Mark add something to every one of these concepts. None of these concepts are going to be just exactly what they were pitched by the concept creators. Unknown was like a New Zealander, I believe, and he had a tattooed arm sleeve. And Mark Pennington was like, wouldn't it be cool if that was scarification and it was actually like raised on the sculpt? And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. You just build it into the sculpt. You don't even have to pay for the tampo, so that's a cost savings. So what if we did 3 sets of arms with different scarification sculpts on the arms, and then you got a troop builder with unique scarification for at least 3 of them? I thought that was a brilliant idea. That's what got me really excited about the character. I already liked the way he looked, but that's what
Unknown's mask has a bit of a shadow tracker thing, like modern shadow tracker thing going.
It does, and that will obviously evolve as well. I think that's a Pennington one, and I'm sure Mark is going to submit 12 different mask designs. Like he's done cadavers, and he just handed over General Order Pharaoh last night, and for every one of those, he drew like 10 different faces. The challenge is going to be like wrangling these guys' good ideas down into which ones actually get made. So,
right. Well,
it's a good challenge.
Looks like we're at the top of the hour here, and we've still got, I know it's the last day, but watching that final countdown will feel like a bit of a process and a bit of a slog with, okay, next character, and we just watch the gaps close. Hopefully we get a big surge like we did with the Call Sign Longbow and Skeletron and Strike Force Alpha Kickstarters. But, gentlemen, this has been a fantastic chat.
Thank you, Ken.
Ron, what an honor and a pleasure to have you on today. And Carson, thank you for being on and for bringing Ron on and for everything that you do for the G.I. Joe fandom, the community. Both of you got the old, the old original legend and the modern day legend here in the same chat. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that. I really do mean that. And
yeah, agreed.
True.
Yep.
You guys are sometimes. Ron, thank you. Ron, thank you for joining us last minute. Really appreciate it, man.
So much. And
I looked at
Ryan.
It was 12 o'clock. I got to get upstairs. I'm up at the Havoc in my studio.
Yeah, I love it up there. Everybody should be so lucky to spend a few moments at Ron's studio with him.
Oh, it's a total disaster up here.
Oh, it's creative. It's creative chaos, Ron. It's the most productive offices are the messiest offices. He's got like 30 years worth of creativity just all sprawled out up there.
My teenager must be really excited.
Hello.
And speaking of big honors here, Mark Pennington, pleasure to meet you. I know we're at the very end of the stream, but welcome.
What's up, Mark? How you doing, brother?
What's up?
Hey, buddy.
Sorry, I just got to my studio. I was driving.
Oh, that's no problem at all. Is everybody getting a good look at Ron Rudat's studio there?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up on the solo layout here if I can.
Pull them up full screen real quick. Mark,
I am.
Ron was just showing us the studio. Okay, Ron, we can see it if you want to pan around. There's literally 30 years worth of creative productivity in there. It's an amazing place. Hey, there's that top secret folder. There we go.
Amazing.
Imagine the drawings that are in those flat files back there.
It's the gold mine of gold mines.
I remember the first time I went to visit Ron in 2012, I said, I'm not going to buy any pre-production stuff. I don't want to be one of those guys that comes to his house trying to buy everything. And so I kind of swore to myself I wouldn't buy anything. And before I left, he was like, no, really, take it. It's for sale. You can have it. And it's like $1,200 later, I was walking out with a bunch of pre-pro. So.
Absolutely. Well, the chat is absolutely absolutely starstruck
Ken,
right now.
Ken, do you have another 10 minutes? Maybe we could go for another 10 minutes.
I have another 30 minutes for you. I scheduled for 90 minutes anyway, so we're good here. But I'm good for at least 10. Yeah.
All right, Ron. I don't want to hold you too long. If you want to jump, you totally can. But I'd love for you to hang around. Mark Pennington just joined us, so I definitely want to make sure we have a chance to ask him some questions and say hello. So thank you for joining us, Mark.
Sure, thanks. You're welcome.
All right, so everybody that doesn't know Mark Pennington, he picked up where Ron Rudat left off around 1986. Ron had already designed the majority of the 1987 characters, but he was kind of halfway through that process where he hadn't done the engineering drawings, 360 turnarounds, accessory engineering
A
drawings.
couple of drivers.
Yeah, and a couple drivers. So Mark came in and immediately took over for Ron and worked through the 1989 line. So he left in 88, but some of his last products that he designed were released in 89. So Mark Pennington is with us. He's Mark, you're hard at work, man. You've been cranking.
Yeah.
How does it feel, man? You're 5 weeks into working pretty heavily on action figure design.
The flow's going really good, so it's kind of fun. I mean, at this stage is easy because the next stage is like a lot of grunt work. You know what you're doing, and it's just getting it done. This stage is kind of fun. You have an idea that's almost done. So basically, my goal or theory is, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not, but I try to do one that's really close to what they did or what the original fan did or designer, and then it's just kind of open. Then I do one that's not so close, and then one that's even farther away, and then so it's kind of fun, and it's just kind of goofing off and making up stuff. So,
yeah,
this you just let it. It's kind of fun, and it's you get to the point where I'm almost doing stuff that I know won't even work. I know that won't even be close. But you got to throw it in there, so you know what you don't want.
Yeah,
and then and you never know, because there's always a belt buckle or a boot or something that always comes out of one of those crappy drawings, So it's just fun. You just start goofing off.
you're giving Kirk so much to work with.
There's
so many ideas there. The challenge is really whittling it down to which ones proceed to the next step. So,
and from my understanding, what you wanted to do in this project was recreate what we did back in the day.
Yes.
So, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do is, that's what we did. We just had 10 or 20 ideas, or 4 or 5. You never know. There could be 4 drawings. There could be 20 drawings, and that's basically what all I was trying to do. Really was recreate that. Just hey, here, I got an initial idea. Here, marketing. Here you go. Take a look. Let's argue and fight and see which one comes out on top.
I think one of the reasons that this Kickstarter campaign has been so successful is because you guys, who are historical figures in the toy community, are going through that whole process, and we've been selling the pre-production process artwork. That stuff's been selling.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah. If you scroll to the bottom of the backer tiers.
My wife was kind of showing me some of that last night.
Yeah, they've been very popular. They haven't all sold, but a good bit of them have. And so I guess that's my chance to mention to the crowd.
And all the good stuff is yet to come, like the final illustrations, the sculpture sheets, the marker rendering and the final illustration. Those will be nice pieces. Or hopefully they'll be nice pieces. We'll see.
Oh, I'm sure they
Ron
will.
and I are old guys.
You guys have seen in the Kickstarter campaign what Ron Rudack created for me for Ritello for the presentation artwork. That's the tightly rendered. Ron, you painted that in gouache, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So for the presentation artwork, this is what they would go and show to management to get buy-off to move forward into the 360 turnaround drawings.
There was two. There was two. There was like when I was doing it, there was a really nice marker rendering that Ron or I did, and that was like the final presentation art. And then the final presentation art, like the paintings, those were kind of done out of a pride thing. Like everything was done. They just wanted a really nice piece of artwork at the end. And that would come in later. And I don't think there was any real purpose for that other than it was cool.
I think what I've heard in passing, and this may or may not be correct, is that they use those for sales meetings as well. So when they wanted to show big buyers what was coming, but they didn't have like the Hector Garrido package art yet.
And it was used for Toy Fair too, I believe.
Yes, for sure.
Oh, that's cool.
And they've shared that presentation artwork with magazines of the day.
Yeah.
that would talk about the product. So it's definitely like a marketing tool.
Yeah.
So, but that stuff's been really popular. If you guys want to own some original Ron Rudat work or some original Mark Pennington work, scroll to the bottom, go to the higher price tiers. I promise you they're worth it. The Ritello work is not for sale. I'm taking that to the grave with me. But every other figure, we've been pre-selling this kind of the pre-production process drawings. And so that would be these loose sketches, and then the polished drawings, and then the color studies, the 360 turnaround drawings, and the presentation artwork, the marker kind of artwork that Mark was alluding to. And then Doug Hart's paintings are also available. So get in there, back those items. It's unreal. You don't find vintage action figure package paintings. You don't find opportunities to buy them. They never come up. And so this is really a rare opportunity. And those have been selling well. So
So that's what I'm trying to show on the right side here for anyone in the chat or in the live stream who may not know what I'm talking.
So like
talking about.
Right there, Night Raid Nazi. That was designed by Alyosha, J.E. Russell, and so he actually went in and bought the pre-production lot for Night Raid because, like me, he wants to own the pre-production paperwork for the character that.
I wondered about that because I did see that some of them had been purchased, and I wondered if it were the creators themselves that wanted to own a bit of that history. That's great.
And basically, I did the same thing. I did the same thing for Ritello, right? Because I never asked anybody to work for free. So Ron and Bill and everybody else that worked on Ritello, they were compensated along the way. But what I had to show for it at the end was this amazing pre-production artwork. So, you guys get in there and check that stuff out. See what's still remaining. Have a look at the YouTube page and the Operation Recall playlist on the 3DJoes YouTube page to see some of the sketch artwork that Ron and Mark have been doing. That's the very first artifacts that they're creating in the project. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, this has been great. Like, and I don't even exaggerate when I say this. The fact that you got Ron and Mark as a surprise for us on here, it's like, I don't know if there's a lot of football fans out there, but I feel like you got the dynasty here. You've got Joe Montana and Steve Young in the same chat of the G.I. Joe of the G.I. Joe world.
No, not Joe Montana. Wiggling, don't forget.
He's a Pats fan, right? So you got to call out a Tom Brady or something.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do it that way. I don't know. I took a bit of a gamble. I'm not big on NFL up here, but I played in a pool a few years ago, so I thought the Joe Montana Steve Young thing would maybe apply. But anyway,
it's more like we have John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. I think it's a better comparison.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
My thoughts exactly.
All right, we'll go with that.
Mark, I will say, like we've said to Ron, Mark, thank you for everything that you've done to make our childhood awesome. It is appreciated well into our adulthood, and it's absolutely amazing to be able to spend a little bit of time with you tonight.
Yeah.
Well, it's tonight for me. Yeah.
Tonight, this morning, this afternoon, either way. Okay, well, you know what? Go ahead.
I say, if you're interested, I'm doing some artwork for Hasbro. Hasbro contacted me in June, and I will be doing a package art for the Hiss Driver.
Oh well, yes, of course.
That's Ron, and isn't that the first time since 1999?
Pardon?
Is that your first Hasbro work since 1999?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Amazing. That's very, very cool that they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and
Mark, they'll probably be calling you next.
Oh, I've got kind of a full plate right now.
You sure do, buddy. I like that answer. I appreciate that. So, we do have a full plate. So each one of these guys has 8 characters that they're fleshing out right now, and we're gonna work through it. So Ron and Mark, we haven't really had a chance to talk on the phone. We've done a lot of texting and sending images back and forth and that kind of thing. But so the Kickstarter is done as of tonight, and we're gonna double back to just going through wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. So next up for Mark Pennington is the Black Ninja with the prosthetic leg. This is Mark's chance to go back in there and do a black.
That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jason Murrell is going to love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know that's for a 10-year-old kid, right, Mark?
What's
Yeah.
that?
The concept for came from a 10-year-old kid, Alexander.
I believe so, because I tried to pick all the kids, because the kids ones fascinated me the most. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, and you did get Clanker and Tank too. So
Yeah,
while
yeah.
Mark was focused on getting the kids concepts, Ron was focused on getting the female concept. So Ron, I can't wait to see what you're working on for Lilith. I think that's a really, really
Yeah,
cool.
I think I'm going to have to do more work on that one.
That's going to be a cool one. Looking forward to it.
My excitement is at a fever pitch right now. I backed the All In. I couldn't not. It was like it felt like the best thing for a spiritual successor to G.I. Joe: Real American Hero.
Thank you.
And all the legends. You know, you're very welcome, and thank all of you. I mean, we're the ones thanking you. So you know what? I guess that pretty much gets us to the end of the stream here. I feel like Christmas came early. We got to meet some legendary creators, got to hang out with my friends, and got a very lively chat, and had a lot of great people just around right now. What a time to be a toy fan. What a time to be in love with action figures. So I think everyone's going to just give me a great big yo-jo, and we'll cut the stream right there.
Woo!
Thank you guys.
Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Joe.
Peace.
Peace. Thanks so much, everyone. All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Take it easy.
Thank you.
I'm dismissed.
See you.